Lucy had always been the quiet one, the one who blended into the background, unnoticed yet essential. For years, she kept to herself, tending to the office with a careful, almost perfect routine. But today was different. The usual calm in the office had been shattered by a simple mistake, a spilled cup of water. As the papers soaked through, Lucy's heart raced. She knew those documents weren't just papers. They were Ruth's papers. And Ruth, with her sharp eyes and fiery temper, was no one to cross. Lucy's palms sweated. Her mind raced. Could she fix this? Or had she just made a mistake that would cost her everything? The whispers of the villagers filled the air whenever she passed. Lucy, the barren woman with body odor. Twice she had been married, and twice her husband had chased her away, leaving her broken and alone. The weight of the rumors crushed her spirit, but she refused to let the world see her tears. This cruel nickname was a lie spread by her ex-husband, a man who had been unfaithful to her. He wanted to drive her away because she couldn't have children, so he made up a story about her having body odor to make her leave. One day, at the market, a poor but kind man named Fidelis approached Lucy and told her he wanted to marry her. Lucy, tired of suitors, warned him that she was not the kind of woman he should marry. She explained that people in the village believed she was cursed and brought bad luck to her husbands. But Fidelis didn't care. Day after day he came to her stall, bringing small gifts like beads and kola nuts, even though he didn't have much to give. His actions spoke louder than words. He treated her with kindness and patience, always finding ways to make her smile. Lucy, he said one day, looking deeply into her eyes, I'm not afraid of curses. I love you and nothing will change that. The only thing I fear is living without you. Lucy was moved by his sincerity. Slowly, her heart began to soften, and she started to see that Fidelis's love for her was genuine and unwavering. Few months later, they got married. One day, Lucy stayed at the market later than usual, hoping to sell the last of her beautiful baskets. The sun had already gone down, leaving the path home covered in shadows as the evening grew darker. She packed her belongings slowly, her mind preoccupied with the day's earnings. As Lucy walked along the dark, quiet path, the only sounds were the rustling leaves and her soft footsteps. The trail was lonely, with tall trees casting shadows around her. Suddenly, she heard heavy, uneven footsteps behind her. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but the sound grew louder and closer. Her heart raced as she turned to see a figure stumbling toward her in the darkness. Despite her efforts to speed up, the figure caught up to her. It was Obi, the same man from the village known for his nightly drunkenness. His eyes were glassy, his breath heavy with the scent of palm wine. Lucy, he slurred, his voice thick, wait for me. Panic surged through Lucy as she tried to sidestep him, but Obi grabbed her arm with a surprising strength. Please, Lucy, just talk to me, he pleaded. Fear and anger flared within her. Let me go, Obi, she demanded, struggling against his grip. In her heart, she knew she needed to escape, but his hold was firm. Listen, I just want to talk. Really, Obi insisted, his words slurring together. Lucy's mind raced. She needed to think quickly. Summoning all her strength, she stomped on Obi's foot. He yelped in pain and loosened his grip just enough for her to break free. But as Lucy tried to run, Obi grabbed her firmly and shoved her against a tree. Despite her struggles, he overpowered her and violated her. Lucy couldn't stop crying as tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. She managed to get home that night, but did not tell her husband about what had happened. She was afraid that if she told him, he would leave her. Few weeks later, Lucy woke up feeling strange. Her appetite changed, her body felt different, and soon the village midwife, Azuka confirmed what she could barely believe. Lucy was pregnant. This revelation brought a complex mix of joy and distress. Fidelis was overjoyed when he heard of the pregnancy. He filled their humble home with songs of gratitude each night, his heart swelling with dreams of the child who would soon complete their family. He pictured teaching the child to weave baskets and to love the land as much as they did. But for Lucy, each song was a stab of guilt. She knew the truth that Fidelis didn't. Obi, the village drunk, was the father of her child. The night he had caught up with her haunted her constantly. She had kept the encounter to herself, burdened by shame and the fear of losing Fidelis. Now, as she watched her husband dance around their home, happiness beaming from his face, the weight of her secret grew unbearable. Lucy felt confused and didn't know what to do, so she went to Azuka, the village midwife, for advice. She told Azuka about her situation and how scared she was to tell her husband, Fidelis. Azuka, who was known for keeping up with village gossip, was surprised by what Lucy told her. However, after Lucy finished her story, there was a heavy silence. Azuka, weighing her words carefully, finally spoke. Lucy, this is a difficult situation. If you tell Fidelis, it might destroy your marriage. He loves you and is looking forward to this child as his own. Maybe it's better to keep this to yourself. Fidelis raising the child as his own could be the best thing for both of you. One fateful day, as Lucy walked to the market, she saw Obi again. He was sitting under a tree with a group of men, laughing and drinking. They started laughing at her. Her stomach churned, and her knees went weak. The sight of him brought back everything she had tried so hard to suppress. Obi noticed her and gave her a sly grin, raising his cup of palm wine as if mocking her. Lucy quickened her pace, her heart pounding. She felt like she couldn't breathe, as tears ran down her cheeks. The memory of that night came rushing back, more vivid than ever. The whispers began as soon as Lucy stepped into the market. Women gathered in small groups, their conversations halting as she passed. Men shook their heads, some chuckling under their breath. Lucy could feel the weight of their stares, the way their eyes darted toward her belly and back up to her face. The market, once her refuge, had become a battlefield of silent accusations. Did you hear? That child isn't Fidelis. One woman whispered loudly enough for Lucy to hear. The midwife, Azuka, says it was Obi's, another added, her tone dripping with mockery. Lucy froze, her hands trembling. The baskets she carried nearly slipped from her grasp. She turned to see the women quickly looking away, pretending to be busy with their goods. Her heart raced as realization dawned. Azuka had betrayed her. Lucy returned home from the market only to find Fidelis waiting, his face dark with anger. He had heard the rumors about her pregnancy and demanded the truth. When Lucy tearfully admitted that Obi was the father and explained how she had been violated, Fidelis was heartbroken and furious. Not just at what had happened, but at her decision to hide it from him. Feeling betrayed and humiliated, Fidelis packed his belongings that night, despite Lucy's desperate pleas for him to stay. He told her he could no longer live with the pain and left, leaving Lucy to face the weight of her guilt, the judgment of the villagers, and the hardships of raising her child alone. That moment marked the beginning of Lucy's deepest struggles. Many years after the painful events in her village, Lucy found a new opportunity through someone she had once helped. This person had not forgotten her kindness during her toughest times and now offered her a chance to move to Lagos. Lucy took it, starting a new life as a cleaner in a busy office. Her hard work and kind nature quickly made her well-liked by her colleagues. The calm at the office was disrupted when a new manager, Rachel, was transferred there. Rachel was known for being very strict and often angry. On her first day, She fired 2 employees, which scared everyone. People tried to stay out of her way or tried to befriend her to keep their jobs. Rachel's approval seemed crucial for everyone's job security. What made Rachel even more powerful was that her mother, before she died, was a major shareholder. This made her feel even more confident in making big decisions quickly. Her approval was crucial for keeping your job. From the first day Rachel saw Lucy, she took an instant dislike to her. Rachel, known for her tough demeanor, found reasons to criticize Lucy relentlessly. Despite Lucy's hard work and kindness, Rachel shouted at her for even the smallest mistakes, never satisfied with her efforts. She seemed to ignore that Lucy was older and deserved respect, instead insulting her at every opportunity, even calling her a poor beggar who had nothing and nobody. This constant harsh treatment puzzled the other staff members, who respected and admired Lucy. They couldn't understand why Rachel targeted her, as Lucy was one of the most dedicated and caring people in the office. But no one dared to say anything for fear of losing their job. Lucy tried to maintain her composure and professionalism despite Rachel's insults. Besides, she needed the salary to take care of herself and pay for a one-room apartment she shares with a friend. She hoped that in time, Rachel would see her true value. Lucy's resilience was tested day by day. She absorbed Rachel's harsh words, choosing not to retaliate. One quiet morning, Lucy was busy cleaning the office, carefully mopping the floors and tidying up documents on the desks. As she shifted some papers to wipe down a desk, she accidentally knocked over a cup of water, spilling it across some documents. Those papers belonged to Ruth, a colleague known for her arrogance and sharp tongue, much like Rachel. Ruth had never hidden her disdain for Lucy, treating her with little respect. Upon seeing her soaked documents, Ruth leapt from her seat, fury written all over her face. "Look what you've done, you clumsy fool!" she screamed, drawing the attention of the entire office. "Can't you do anything right? How hard is it to mop a floor without ruining everything?" Lucy, mortified and apologetic, tried to salvage the documents, sopping up the water with her rag. "I'm so sorry, Ruth. It was an accident. Let me help fix this," she pleaded. But Ruth was not interested in apologies. "You're just a mess, a disaster everyone else has to clean up after," she continued, her voice rising with each word. "You better kneel down and start apologizing." "Patricia," Ruth's friend shouted at Lucy. At that moment, Rachel walked into the office, catching the tail end of Ruth's tirade. Seeing the commotion, she quickly assessed the situation and, without asking for any explanation, sided with Ruth. Overwhelmed by anger and frustration, Rachel grabbed the bucket of dirty mop water and, in a fit of rage, poured it over Lucy, who was still on the floor trying to clean up the mess. The room went silent, shocked by Rachel's harsh action. Lucy sat there, soaked and humiliated, tears streaming down her face, not from the cold water but from the pain of being so publicly degraded. The other employees sat still, their eyes fixed on their screens or the floor, too afraid to speak out for fear of Ruth's wrath or losing their jobs. Rachel stepped forward, her presence commanding and severe. "This is unacceptable, Lucy," she declared, her voice echoing off the office walls, reinforcing the fear that gripped her team. Lucy stood there, the damp rag in her hand, her posture small as she absorbed the harsh words. As Ruth continued to fume and Rachel's stern gaze swept the room, a heavy, uncomfortable silence settled over the office. No one dared to meet Lucy's eyes, each person wrestling internally with guilt for their silence and relief that it wasn't them in Lucy's place. Later, as the day dragged on, the incident weighed heavily on the hearts of the office staff. The image of Lucy, quietly trying to mop up her mistake and the water on the floor, haunted them. The woman who had tried to speak up felt a particularly stinging regret. She knew Lucy had meant no harm, yet she had let fear silence her support. One late evening, as Lucy was finishing her cleaning rounds, she noticed that Rachel's office light was still on. It was unusual for Rachel to stay so late, and curiosity mixed with a sense of duty nudged Lucy to check on her. As she approached the office, she heard a faint groan. Concerned, Lucy knocked gently on the door. Receiving no response, she pushed the door open and found Rachel slumped over her desk, her face pale and her breathing shallow. Panicking, Lucy rushed to Rachel's side. She tried to wake her, but Rachel was barely responsive. Remembering her first aid training from a community health workshop, as Lucy rolled up Rachel's sleeves to check her pulse and breathing, she noticed a small, distinct birthmark on Rachel's forearm. It was an unusual shape, unmistakably similar to a crescent moon cradled by a star. A rare mark that Lucy recognized all too well. A flood of memories overwhelmed Lucy, taking her back to a time long buried under years of hardship. The birthmark was identical to that of her baby girl, whom the midwife, Azuka, had told her had died 3 days after birth. Stunned by the realization, Lucy's heart raced as she contemplated the impossibility of the situation. Could Rachel be her long-lost daughter? Rattled by the sight of the birthmark, Lucy paused, her mind flooded with shock. She glanced at Rachel, who was in pain and barely conscious. Realizing the urgency, Lucy quickly rushed out to find help. She waved her arms to get the attention of the security guards at the entrance. Seeing her distress, 2 security guards hurried over. "Please, she needs help. She's very sick," Lucy explained quickly, leading them back to Rachel's office. The security guards followed Lucy and assessed the situation swiftly. One of them called for an ambulance while the other helped Lucy support Rachel. They made sure she was comfortable and ready to be moved. Soon, the ambulance arrived, and the paramedics took over. They placed Rachel on a stretcher. Lucy went with them, holding Rachel's hand, her mind swirling with concern for her health and the startling possibility that Rachel might be her daughter. As the ambulance sped through the streets, its sirens echoing, Lucy watched Rachel, who looked pale and weak. At the hospital, the doctors quickly took Rachel to the emergency room. While Lucy waited anxiously in the waiting area, the thought that Rachel could be her long-lost daughter, believed to have died years ago, the memory of the birthmark that matched the one her baby girl had, a mark she was told no longer existed when she was informed of her daughter's death, was too significant to dismiss. Lucy was filled with a mix of fear and hope. She prayed silently for Rachel to get better soon. After waiting for hours, a doctor informed Lucy that Rachel was in critical condition due to diabetic shock and would need extensive care during recovery. He stressed the importance of family support during this time. As the doctor spoke, the automatic hospital door opened, revealing Azuka, the midwife who had falsely informed Lucy years ago that her baby had died. Azuka was visibly shocked when she saw Lucy. She immediately fell to her knees, pleading for forgiveness. Azuka confessed that she had been misled by a friend who desperately wanted a baby due to her inability to conceive. Her friend was getting older and wanted a child to inherit her wealth, promising Azuka a handsome reward. When Lucy went unconscious during her delivery, Azuka seized the opportunity to deceive her by selling her newborn, arranging for the baby to live with the friend under strict conditions. Lucy was overwhelmed by this revelation, as a flood of painful memories returned. She recalled the deep suffering she endured after Fidelis left her pregnant and alone. She remembered the traumatic night she gave birth, followed by complications that made her lose consciousness. When she awoke 2 days later, Azuka told her that her baby had died. Devastated, Lucy wept for days. The following days were incredibly tough. She was so desperate that she began begging for alms to survive. Eventually, a kind-hearted person helped her secure a job in Lagos, offering her a chance to start anew. Lucy stayed by her daughter Rachel's side, praying for her recovery. A few days later, Rachel was discharged from the hospital. She learned about her biological mother, Lucy, and the hardships she had endured. Overwhelmed with emotion, Rachel visited Lucy's home and was shocked by the poor conditions her mother was living in. With tears in her eyes, she asked for forgiveness, remembering how she had previously mistreated Lucy, including the day she had thrown a bucket of dirty mop water on her. Lucy told her she has forgiven her. Soon after, Rachel convinced Lucy to move in with her and took legal action to have Azuka, the midwife, arrested for her deceitful actions. Lucy began one evening as they sat under the dim light of the living room. Life has taught me that the way we treat others reflects back on us. I have faced many hardships, and kindness from others has often been my solace. You hold a position of power at your work. Use it to uplift, not suppress. Remember, everyone is fighting their own battles. Lucy replied, "It's never too late to change. Being compassionate will make you a better leader. People respect those who respect them. That's what true strength is about, not being tough." Motivated by her mother's advice, Rachel returned to work with a changed outlook. She apologized to her colleagues for her previous behavior and began treating everyone with greater fairness. As a result, the company not only saw improved productivity. Workers were happier and more satisfied with their jobs, leading to increased loyalty and a stronger commitment to the company's success. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I hope you enjoyed the story. To all my returning subscribers, thank you for your amazing support. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Share your thoughts on the story in the comments, and let us know where you're watching from. Stay tuned. I love you all. Special African Tales.